Hi friends! My name is Miss Sykes and today we're going to be doing a little bit of comprehension. Now comprehension is something that we can do with a story that we read by ourselves, a story that we listen to, or a story that we read together. Today we're going to be reading that story together. Now this story is called Meet the School Nurse, and I got this story from ReadWorks. Now if you want to, go check out ReadWorks below. I'll put the link in the description. They're a free service that allows you to find stories and things to read online with comprehension and vocabulary questions. I use them all the time. It's awesome. And I'll go ahead and put the link in our video here as well, so you have a chance to print that out and work with me if you're able to. All right, so let's get started. For today's lesson, you're obviously going to need your ears. We're going to be focusing on our listening comprehension. And we're also going to need a printer and some crayons if you are able. Now, if you are not able to print things off at home, that's totally okay. Just follow along with me and do your best to pay attention. We'll also need a pencil for at the end. We'll be doing a little bit of writing as well. Now, this is going to be a two-part video. So this is just going to be part one. We're going to focus on reading the story and answering the first half of the questions. Then in the second part of the video, we'll reread the story and answer the second half of the questions. Okay? Let's get started. Here's the link to the story that we'll be reading today, Meet the School Nurse. So if you go ahead and click on that link, it'll take you to a page where you can print off the story that we're reading and the questions that go with it. Again, if you're not able to print that off, that's a-okay, just follow along with me. Our story is called Meet the School Nurse, and it's by ReadWorks. I'm going to read it aloud to you. I'll be using my cursor to follow along where I'm reading, so you can follow along as well, or if you're able and you have printed it off, you may follow along on your paper. Meet the School Nurse by ReadWorks. Some schools have a special helper. That helper is the school nurse. What does the school nurse do? The nurse helps you if you feel sick or get hurt. The nurse might give you an eye test or a hearing test. The nurse shows you the right way to wash your hands. The nurse also teaches you about healthy foods. Be sure to thank your school nurse for helping you stay healthy. Now I picked this story today because the reason a lot of us are at home instead of at school is because there's a sickness going around that's making people not feel very good. So we're going to learn a little bit about how to wash our hands and stay healthy, and how a person like a school nurse or a nurse in a hospital can help keep us healthy as well. So let's look at our first question. As you can see, I have a yellow crayon up in the corner. That means for this question, we'll be marking our answer in the story and in our question with our yellow crayon. And you'll see what I mean by that in just a second. Question 1 says, what test might a school nurse give you? A reading test. B, a math test. C, an eye or hearing test. Go ahead and take a minute. If you have the paper printed out, go ahead and circle the answer that you think is correct on your paper. If you don't have it printed out, just go ahead and choose in your mind which one you think is correct. I'll read the question one more time. What test might a school nurse give you? A reading test. B, a math test. Or C, an eye or hearing test. So friends, let's look back in our story. Again, we can see the yellow crayon means we're going to be using our yellow crayon to mark this answer. We're going to read until we find that answer. Now remember, we're trying to find the answer to the question, what test might a school nurse give you? Let's read until we find it. Some schools have a special helper. That helper is the school nurse. What does the school nurse do? The nurse helps you if you feel sick or get hurt. The nurse might give you an eye test or a hearing test. That's what we were looking for, right? We are trying to find what kind of test a school nurse might give you. And we just read that the nurse might give you an eye test or a hearing test. We're going to mark that sentence with our yellow crayon. Now I've highlighted mine. You may underline it with your yellow crayon or color it. Or if you don't have it printed out, just follow along. So we've marked it with our yellow crayon. Now we know that the answer is that the nurse would give you an eye test or a hearing test. Let's go to our question and mark that answer as well. Did you get it right? Awesome. So the answer to question 1 is C, an eye or hearing test. And we found that with our yellow crayon. Let's look at our next question. Question 2 we'll be answering with our green crayon. I'll read it to you twice, having you mark your own answer, and then we'll find the answer in the story. Question 2 says, this passage describes a school nurse's job. One part of a school nurse's job is to teach. What might your school nurse teach you about? A, healthy foods, B, the best candy, or C, writing. I'll read that one more time and have you mark the answer that you think is correct before we find it together. This passage describes a school nurse's job. One part of a school nurse's job is to teach. What might your school nurse teach you about? A, healthy foods, B, the best candy, or C, writing. Think you know what the answer is? All right, let's go back in our story and see if we can find it. Again, we're looking for what the school nurse might teach you about. Let's read until we find that answer. Some schools have a special helper. That helper is the school nurse. What does the school nurse do? The nurse helps you if you feel sick or get hurt. The nurse might give you an eye test or a hearing test. The nurse shows you the right way to wash your hands. The nurse also teaches you about healthy foods. I just heard a key word. Remember, we're trying to find the answer for what the nurse might teach you about, and we've just read that the nurse also teaches you about healthy foods. I bet if we look, that's one of our choices. Yep, there it is. Choice A is healthy foods. So we're going to mark that answer in our story with green. Go ahead and take your green crayon. You're going to color or underline the sentence that says, the nurse also teaches you about healthy foods. And then mark that answer, A, with your green crayon as well. Nice work, friends. We're going to do 2 more questions, and then we'll be finished with part 1. We'll do part 2 a later day. Question 3, we're going to be using our blue crayon for. So for question 3, there we go. For question 3, it says, the school nurse helps you stay clean. Which part of the passage shows this is true? So for this question, they're giving us sentences straight from the passage. We know that if we look back, we can find all of these sentences in our story. But we need to figure out which one answers this question. The school nurse helps you stay clean. Which one of these sentences proves that that's true? Let's read our choices and figure it out together. A, the nurse helps you if you feel sick or hurt. B, the nurse might give you an eye test or a hearing test. Or C, the nurse shows you the right way to wash your hands. Now for this, since all 3 of these sentences are in the story, we don't even have to look back at the story to figure out which one is correct. We just have to think about what it is asking. Which one of these sentences shows how to stay clean? Is it the nurse helps you if you feel sick or hurt? I don't think so. That doesn't talk about staying clean. How about the nurse might give you an eye test or a hearing test? That doesn't talk about staying clean either. C says the nurse shows you the right way to wash your hands. Now we're getting somewhere. Washing your hands keeps you clean. So our answer is probably going to be C. Let's look back in the story and find that sentence anyways, so that we can know where to look for it. And there it is, in blue. The nurse shows you the right way to wash your hands. Take a minute, underline or color that sentence in blue so we know where to find it in the story. Got it? Awesome. So now let's look back at question 3. Like we said, the answer is going to be C. The nurse shows you the right way to wash your hands. So if you haven't already, go ahead and color that answer in blue or circle it as well. Excellent. So we're going to do one more question today, and that'll be the end of part 1. Then we'll come back and finish part 2 with the rest of our questions. Question 4, we're going to be using pink. Question 4 says, what is the main idea in Meet the School Nurse? Now, before we answer this question, we really need to know what the main idea is. The main idea in the story is the big takeaway that the author wants you to have. If you read a story and that somebody asks you what it was about, you're probably going to tell them the main idea. So let's read our choices and see if one of them sounds more like a main idea than the others. Choice A says, school nurses give you your shots. Choice B says, school nurses help you stay healthy. Or C, school nurses teach you how to read. Now, we can find this answer in the story, and we will, but we also need to use our brains a little bit. We can rule out one of these answers right now. Do you know which one we can rule out? Good, we can rule out C. Do you know why we can rule out C? We know the answer can't be C because nowhere in the story does it tell us that school nurses teach you how to read. The school nurse is there to help you stay healthy, stay clean, wash your hands. These are all things that we've read. But we didn't read about teaching you how to read, so we know the answer isn't C. That leaves us with choice A or choice B. Either the main idea is that the school nurse gives you your shots, or that the school nurse helps you stay healthy. Let's look back in the story and see if one of those sentences jumps out as sounding more like a main idea. Let's read through, and I want you to listen to see if we talk more about giving shots or staying healthy. Some schools have a special helper. That helper is the school nurse. What does the school nurse do? The nurse helps you if you feel sick or get hurt. The nurse might give you an eye test or a hearing test. The nurse shows you the right way to wash your hands. The nurse also teaches you about healthy foods. Be sure to thank your school nurse for helping you stay healthy. Now that very last sentence told us something important. Be sure to thank your school nurse for helping you stay healthy. Now that is one of our choices, the school nurse helping you stay healthy. And I didn't read anything about giving shots, so we can safely rule out shots as the main idea too. That means helping you stay healthy is our main idea, and we can mark that in our story using our pink crayon. Take a minute to underline or color that part of your sentence that says helping you stay healthy, because we know that is the main idea and the answer to question 4. Good. So now we need to mark the answer to question 4. It is B. School nurses help you stay healthy. Remember, the main idea is the big takeaway. Not a little detail, but something important from the story. In this case, helping you stay healthy. So that's where we're going to stop today, friends. We have 4 more questions that we'll answer in our next video together. So if you did have a chance to print this off, go ahead and hang on to that and save it for our next video. If you didn't, and you have a chance to print it off before next time, that would be great. Otherwise, just keep on watching and hang in there with us. You guys did an awesome job today. Rock on, superstars, and I'll see you all next time.